Meyer Games, and I am live here to share, as I usually do on Wednesday. I'm here to share Meyer Games news, to discuss random topics, and to answer your questions. And today is particularly special because today, right now, it's happening right now, is the pre-order for Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. And when we say pre-order, it means that we've already made the product, and we're just using the term pre-order because it might take a few weeks to ship it, but we already have it. We've already made it. It's already in our fulfillment centers, and it's ready to ship to you along with the metal coins and the new promo pack for Rolling Realms. This is for the game Rolling Realms, not for the game Libertalia. I played that for the first time on a live cast just the other day. Let me show you the metal coins too. I have my metal coins in the plastic case that comes in Libertalia. Normally cardboard coins come in this game, but you can buy Libertalia special metal doubloon coins on our web store now. And everything is at a pretty big discounted price through March 5th. So if you're interested in getting this game directly from Meyer Games, you can do so at a really nice discount through March 5th. And then it'll still be available on our web store after that if we have copies available, which I think is fairly likely. We made a lot of copies. You can also, if you want, wait until April 29th to get it from your preferred retailer. Let's see, I see some questions coming in today already. Thank you for the questions. Feel free to ask me anything you want, as long as it's not a spoiler. I don't answer spoiler questions. Let's see. Tim says, will there be metal eggs and food for Wingspan? I love metal add-ons. No, we don't have any plans to do metal stuff for Wingspan, but we do have plans to start using wood for Wingspan eggs instead of plastic to be a little bit more environmentally friendly. Sorry, Facebook is weird with scrolling past questions, so I'll try to stay on top of the questions today. If I missed your question, feel free to ask again. Actually, I think that was the only question so far. A lot of people say that they are ordering Libertalia and the metal coins and the promo pack, which makes me happy. And I'm hoping this game brings a lot of joy to your tabletop. I've enjoyed my plays of the final printed version so far, and I really hope you enjoy it too. Corlin says, quick question about Red Rising, different game that came out around the same time last year. Do you think Darrow lost his way like everyone says? Corlin, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll answer very simply, and I'll say I think Darrow is a very nuanced character. I think he makes mistakes. I think he's very human. I don't know if he ever really had a way that was correct, and so I don't know if he had a way to lose in the first place. Yeah. Austin says, can you say what the shipping difference is between standard shipping and FedEx shipping? So standard uses Smart Post, which is when typically, I believe the order is picked up by FedEx, but it's delivered by the United States Postal Service. Whereas the full FedEx ground version is it's FedEx from start to finish. And I think some people have found that that is a little bit more reliable in their area, but other people have found that, in fact, I think most people have found that the Smart Post, not fart, sorry, I almost said Fart Post there. The Smart Post version is just as effective and it's a little cheaper. Tim included a link in the comments below explaining the difference as well. People have questions about the Viticulture Expansion, and I look forward to talking about that in the future when we're ready to fully announce what that expansion is all about and when it's ready. We're getting close to having it ready, but I'm not ready to quite commit to an announcement date at this point because freight shipping is, very unpredictable. So we want to make sure we have some certainty involving the freight shipping for that expansion before we officially announce it. Connor is joining us today. I'm amazed that Connor is joining us because Connor is running an amazing Kickstarter campaign right now for his game Earth. Connor, congratulations on that, and congratulations on all the exposure that Summit has gotten recently, thanks to the South Park guy who said that he loved it almost as much as I do, I think. Yeah, Summit is a wonderful game, and yeah, Connor, congrats on Earth. Another Kickstarter campaign that's been fun to watch over the last 24 hours has been Brandon Sanderson's campaign. He launched a surprise campaign for a total of 5 books that will be available quarterly in 2023. Books that he surprised his fans like me, by writing and then releasing this Kickstarter for. And it's gone bonkers. Last I checked, it was at $15 million in less than 24 hours, which is incredible. Congratulations to Brandon for doing that. Let's see. And I look forward, I think I'm going to write about that on tomorrow's blog post because I think it is a really exciting campaign to see. And I think he used some interesting techniques that may or may not be helpful for other creators. I think some of them will be helpful and others won't be. So if you have any thoughts about that campaign and how you think there are any lessons that could be applied to other campaigns, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I think with any mega campaign like that, $50 million is definitely a mega campaign by far. There can be some things that definitely aren't intentionally misleading, but a creator not realizing all the support that Brandon Sanderson has built up over the years might look at some of those methods and think, oh, I'll try that and I'll have that level of success. Well, I think so much of it comes down to his existing fan base and how they love his work and trust his work. I'm the type of person that whenever Brandon Sanderson releases a new book, I buy it without knowing anything about it because I trust him as an author so much. Molly says, I got the Terra Mystica promo and it was also a pre-order. Will it all ship together? Molly, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. We need to remove the pre-order tag from the Terra Mystica promo because it is no longer a pre-order. We just probably accidentally left the tag on there. It is not a pre-order, but it will all ship together. All the stuff that you ordered today will ship together. Not pre-order. Okay, yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I love these live streams because I can fix things not in real time, but I can take notes and fix them afterwards. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. Eddie says that he's enjoying the pirate name generator on our web store, or actually our website. So if you go to the Libertalia page of our website, there is a pirate name generator where you can determine by answering, I think, 4 very simple questions, very open-ended questions. You can determine your pirate name and your ship name, I believe, are the 2 things that it creates for you. This was created by a friend of Stonemaier Games, a shareholder, Ryan, who created this wonderful generator with the help of Vitaly, another shareholder who knows some programming, who has some programming skills. And it's really neat. I'm really happy with how it worked out. Tim says, how was Alaska? Yeah, so the other kind of big thing that's been on my mind recently is that I spent the last week in Alaska. This was a trip that we planned before the pandemic began, right before the pandemic began, and we delayed it by 2 years and ended up, I think, fairly safely going on the trip last week. We haven't had any signs of COVID or anything like that. I think it helps that we're vaccinated and boosted. But yeah, we had Alaska. We didn't have Alaska. We went to Fairbanks, Alaska, and had a wonderful time there. A few quick highlights for that trip. I'm happy to talk more about it if you have questions. Is that we saw a lot of animals, a lot of wildlife. We walked with reindeer. We met 2 musk ox. We went to an incredible museum where we saw a grizzly bear, not a live grizzly bear, but a grizzly bear and the skeleton of a giant whale that had washed up on the shores of Alaska, not the shores of Fairbanks because it's landlocked. And we went dog sledding too. So it has great wildlife, great animal time there. It was fairly cold, but not too cold, just a lot of snow on the ground. And we got to see the Aurora Borealis. We went to an amazing museum, a car museum, which isn't something that normally interests me, but there's a really, really cool car museum, automobile museum in Fairbanks. We went to the Chena Hot Springs. And we went on a beautiful hike. One of my favorite things of the trip was we went on this beautiful hike to see the Castor Glacier, which is essentially this giant ice cave that you can walk into and even crawl into to get to another cavern further into the cave. It was really cool. Yeah, we had a wonderful time, and I really appreciate our friends Andre and Margaret for hosting us up there. They were incredible hosts in Fairbanks, Alaska. Let's see. Tim says, if I backed Solar 175, I haven't yet. Yesterday I did back the Brandon Sanderson book campaign, but I also saw that Solar 175 launched. I am very intrigued by it, but I wasn't entirely sold on it right away. So I'm kind of on the fence about it right now. But I'm intrigued, definitely intrigued. Luke says, will there be a Stonemaier game set in the Cosmere? This is Brandon Sanderson's wider universe. There are no plans for that to happen, but I do love the Cosmere. Frank says, can we expect a big box for Wingspan? Yes, we have a nesting box in the works. There's a lot of information about that on our website. If you go to Wingspan and look at the nesting box page on our website, you can see a lot of information about that. Chad says, do you prefer to design games with restraints? He says, a graphic design example for me, I will often tell myself I need to make a logo or design that only uses 2 colors, and it really helps. Yeah, Chad, I love restraints, but I love kind of discovering them throughout the process. It's one of the reasons that I really like prototyping, because while I'm prototyping, I can realize, oh, wow, this card layout that I thought would work doesn't work at all. and even for a rough prototype. And I need to revise some of the mechanisms to make this make sense, to make this intuitive, to fit all this information onto the card. So even with graphic design, as you say, I encounter a lot of restraints as I'm creating that prototype, and they do impact the game design quite a bit. Trey Parker, that's okay. Thanks, Connor. Connor's letting me know, the guy from South Park. Trey Parker, he says, well, this review won't convince Jamey to try the competitive version. Yeah, I love the cooperative version of Summit, and I love it so much that I haven't tried the other version yet. Big Dan has a question. Big Dan, I saw that you asked this question on our website too, and I answered it there, but I'll answer it here as well. You said, will the new Mamas and Papas allowing same-sex couples be available separately for base game owners? And just to clarify what's happening there, in the original, and they're actually no longer called Mamas and Papas cards, they're called pink and blue cards. So in the original Viticulture, we have pink and blue cards, where on the pink cards, there are women, and the blue cards, there are men, and they're paired at the beginning of the game to give you some starting resources. And in the new Viticulture Expansion, the only thing I've revealed about the Viticulture Expansion is that we are offering, in the expansion, we're having pink papas and blue mamas. And so if you just play with those cards, it's still heterosexual pairings. But if you combine those mamas and papas, which you can with the original mamas and papas, you can create same sex, same gender pairings, mama mama pairings, papa papa pairings, or randomly, you could still have papa mama pairings. Dan's asking, can we sell those cards separately? And the answer is we don't do that. We don't sell expansion elements a la carte. If you want those cards, and I think they're wonderful, I'm glad you're excited about them, you could just buy the expansion. So that's our answer to that for things like that. If you want something that's in an expansion, you need to buy the expansion to get it. Christian says, will Libertalia Winds of Galecrest be released in the German language? And the answer is yes. And you can get more information about that from our partner Forland in Germany. Let's see. Adrian is asking about code names. I think I can answer this question. He says, are all of your code names for projects 4-letter words? And the answer is yes. I generally try to use 4-letter words for code names. Eric says, will the Charterstone Recharge Pack restock? Is there a future expansion for Charterstone? Eric, I think I saw this question in my email a few minutes ago. I think it was from you as well. I replied right before I went live. And the answer is yes, we are making more Charterstone Recharge Packs. They should be available in a few months. And if you want a notification about that, just sign up for a back-in-stock request notification on the corresponding web store. As for future expansions for Charterstone, we don't have any plans for that. I think the most likely expansions for Charterstone or new content for Charterstone will be through the digital version, not the tabletop version. George says, thank you for taking actions and being supportive towards Ukraine. Thanks, George. Yeah, this is a big topic. This is a blog post that I posted on Monday. You can go read the full post to see the full context. And I think the full context for this post is pretty important. But Stonemaier Games unequivocally condemns the actions of Russia, which is currently attempting to conquer Ukraine, which is just absolutely bewildering to me in the modern world that a country is trying to conquer another country. We do not support this, and so we are cutting off our economic partnerships, essentially. It's an economic action, but we're cutting off our partnerships with our Russian localization partners, which pains me greatly because our Russian partners are wonderful people. They've been wonderful people to work with over the years, but we can't have any of those tax dollars going to support the Russian military. We are also forgiving any payments owed to us by our Ukrainian partners. Our Ukrainian localization partners, because they need that money for more important things right now. And also, there was one print run we discovered that had already shipped to a Russian partner, which is partially good because I think a lot of the people in Russia right now are going to go through a very difficult economic time with the world cutting them off, and having some games to bring them joy, I think is reasonable. That said, I think the focus of the people who are truly suffering right now the most are in Ukraine. Those are the people who are dying and being attacked right now. And because that print run is already on the way to Russia, we decided to donate all of the profits from that print run to an organization that is offering humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Yeah, that's a quick recap of that post. There's more to it. I'd recommend reading that post if you want the full information about it. Chad says, did you hear that the rights for Blake Crouch's upcoming new book, Upgrade, have been picked up by Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment? That's a good sign. This will be a great story. That I hadn't heard about that, but that's great news. And I have pre-ordered Upgrade. I'm really excited to get it. I think it comes out maybe later this spring, early summer. Let's see. I'll finish questions, then I'll jump over to my other random topics. Actually, I'll say chocolate of the day. I usually have a chocolate of the day, and I do. So I bought some chocolate in Alaska. I ate a lot of fudge while I was there. For some reason, fudge is like my vacation food of choice, my travel food of choice in the U.S. in particular. But I also bought some chocolate bars in Alaska. One is a Kelp and Cayenne chocolate bar, and the other is a sea salt chocolate bar for using sea salt from the Alaska area. And I like the sea salt one a lot more. I was hoping to like the kelp version because I do like kelp burgers quite a bit, but it just tastes a little bit too much like seaweed. And I like seaweed, but not in a chocolate bar, I now know. So yeah, two pretty good chocolate bars, but I definitely prefer the sea salt version. Corey says he's going to HerdCon at Marshall University in Huntington this Saturday. You know, I drive through Huntington on my way to Virginia whenever I drive from St. Louis to Virginia. He says Corey will be introducing people to a variety of games to including Rolling Realms, which I think is a great convention game. Rolling Realms is very easy to teach at a convention, and you can play like one round if you want. You can play all 3 rounds. Yeah. Corey kindly says he bought 2 extra copies of Rolling Realms to give away at the convention. Corey, if we can support that in any way, let me know. We don't do giveaways. Stonemaier Games doesn't do giveaways, but we do give copies of games to play and win sections at conventions. And we may have done that for HerdCon. I usually send them a few months in advance, so it's been a few months if they do have a play and win section. I hope they do. But thank you so much for supporting Stonemaier Games and your convention by getting those copies. Nancy Jane says, have I looked at Library Labyrinth? I have, and I backed it at a specific level. I didn't back it to get the game. The game looks interesting, but maybe not exactly up my alley. But I did back it at a level to support, I believe it was supporting libraries who want to get a copy of the game. I believe that was it. It was like the $15 pledge level I backed to support the project. I like that they have that level specifically since there is a library theme to the game. Tim says, I'm still working on the Isle of Cats organizer from the big box. I'm nervous about gluing things. I assume the Wingspan box won't have any assembly required. That's correct. There's no assembly required for the Wingspan nesting box. I actually played quite a bit of Isle of Cats over the weekend because I got the Kittens and Beasts expansion and the Boats expansion. And Megan and I played a game on Saturday and a game on Sunday. She crushed me in the game on Saturday. I think she doubled my score, or almost doubled it. And we had a 1-point difference in our game on Sunday. Isle of Cats is one of my favorite games, and I really like what the expansion adds with the kittens and the beasts and the new boats. There's also the events, but we didn't add those. Andy says, you mentioned before that you will have all Scythe promos in a single pack at some point. Any ETA on those yet? Let me check on the ETA of that. I'll pull that up right now. Let me see what I can find here. I have a Google Doc that lists that type of thing. I don't know if I'll be able to find it quickly. Here we go. It's due to arrive, hopefully, ideally, in April. This will be a web store product for us. And you can still also get those promos from MeepleSource, but we're offering a consolidated pack of the cards, the promo cards from Scythe, just the cards on our web store. And it looks like hopefully April, maybe early May, if that shipment is slow. See a lot of people saying that they are ordering Libertalia Winds of Gelcrest. Thank you so much. Our pre-order is live today, and the discount on this and the metal coins and the new Rolling Realms promo pack will apply through March 5th. So if you're interested and you want to get a pretty significant discount, particularly on the game and the metal coins, please order through before March 5th or through March 5th. Colton says, when will Design Diary start for the Viticulture expansion? Right now, I don't know exactly. Probably sometime in April, but I don't want to entirely commit to that in case we experience a freight shipping slowdown. And with a war happening right now, who knows how that'll impact the world too, in terms of freight shipping and the supply chain, things like that. So I'm hoping to do it sometime. I'm hoping to start the Design Diary sometime in April for the Viticulture expansion. Connor says, how the heck do you eat so many sweets and stay in such good shape? It's not fair. Connor, I think you're in pretty good shape yourself, and I'm sure you enjoy some sweets from time to time. I don't know. I try not to. I eat too many sweets. I'm trying to cut back, but I also try to exercise every day if I can and eat in moderation. And I'm vegetarian, which I think helps a little bit too. Tim says July can't come soon enough for Upgrade. This is a book from Blake Crouch. And Tim says he released his 10th book yesterday. The thrill never lessens. Congratulations, Tim. That's amazing. Tim is a poet and writes, creates books of poetry. And Tim, congratulations on that. That's really wonderful. Let's see. JS says, thank you to Stonemaier Games for supporting Recon at Miami University this weekend with play-in wins for Viticulture, Rolling Realms, and Between Two Cities. We appreciate it. A dream would be to get Libertalia in time to teach it to people, but virtually no chance that happens. We do appreciate the support each year. Yeah, it's tough to ship brand new products to play and win sections at conventions, but that is something that we'll start doing if we have copies left over, starting with conventions in May. Depends on how many copies we have left over for Libertalia. I know it's fun to get exciting new copies, but generally I think if conventions want like the brandest new hottest thing for play and win sections, I think it's probably a good strategy for those conventions to buy the games, to buy those games. But what we'll see in a few months. It's just we want to make sure that we can best serve our pre-order customers first, and then we can look to sending like more review copies, more copies to conventions, things like that in a few months. Let's see. Okay, Justin says, I've noticed as of late a lot of big boxes like the Isle of Cats, Tang Garden, Moonrakers, and Stonemaier Games is doing a big box for Wingspan. Although I should be very clear about that. A Stonemaier Games big box does not include any gameplay content in the box. It's just a box and an organizer. I think a lot of companies use that term. I wish we had two different terms to use for it, but they're almost interchangeable, even though they're very different. A lot of companies use the term big box when they're talking about including all of the stuff. So you're getting like the game and the expansions in that box, whereas we just make the box and sell it separately. Justin says, I'm wondering what your thoughts are for big boxes as a publisher, designer, and as a gamer. Yeah, I have a big blog post about this called, I think it's called What's in the Box, or One Box to Rule Them All, something like that. There are a lot of things to think about when it comes to it. But my general take on it is I generally like to avoid it because it's not very cost effective to sell a box that is just a box and an organizer, especially with today's freight shipping prices. And it's also difficult to do because, like, we're doing it with Wingspan. We're saying we created this box that will be able to hold all Wingspan, all official Wingspan content and some third-party accessories, past, present, and future. But it's difficult to anticipate the future. And so for most games, like, we wouldn't want to release a big box and organizer until we've completely made everything that game will ever have. And it's tough to really say that. Like, even with Scythe, I thought Scythe was completely done. And then we were like, okay, we should probably make a consolidated rulebook for Scythe too. And then we were done. But it's tough to truly draw that line at the end, especially if fans are asking for more content. So I don't know. As a publisher, it's tough to say, okay, this is the time to do a big box. This is the time to create a proper organizer for it, because you don't really know what the future will bring. We've made it fairly flexible and modular for Wingspan to accommodate what will come in the future, even though we don't know everything that will come in the future of Wingspan. And then there's Tapestry. I think Tapestry is an odd case because people have asked us for a big box for Tapestry, but Tapestry comes in a big box itself. It's a fairly big box, and you can fit everything in the box if you remove the original organizer. But then you don't have that original organizer. You just have maybe one or two of the expansion organizers in it. It's a tough thing, but I also get that people have limited space on their shelves. They try to fit everything into one box on their shelves. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg there. So check out the blog post to hear more thoughts about that. But yeah. Those are some of the things that come to mind right off the top of my head. Craig says, thank you for introducing me to Red Rising. I love hearing that. I love hearing when people discover Red Rising through the game, and hopefully discover the game through the Red Rising books as well. Let's see. Connor says, will I be attending any major conventions this year? He says, I know you don't do booths. I will be attending Geekway to the West in May. But other than that, I will not personally. I can't think of any other conventions that I am committed to attending this year. I know that Alex and Susanna will be attending Gamma pretty soon. I think that's in March. It's like in 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, they'll be attending that. And I believe Alex will be attending Gen Con, but MeepleSource is our main partner at Gen Con. And Joe, I think there is a convention near Reno that Joe wants to attend, but I don't know which one it is. I think Gamma was in Reno or is in Reno for the last year or something like that. But other than that, no, I'm just attending Geekway myself. What about you, Connor? Are you and Inside Up Games attending any big conventions this year? Nick says, have I ever wanted to create a game with a real-time aspect? We just backed Ilitari, and I think Landis will love it. Nick, we do have a game with a simultaneous element to it that it touches upon real time, and that is Pendulum. So Pendulum has timers in it that you use to like lock workers into place and to unlock actions where workers can access those action spaces. So we do have a game with that element of real-time simultaneous play already. That's Pendulum. Beyond that, though, I think there's probably a limited market for it because I think a lot of gamers, especially medium weight gamers, which are the audience that we generally cater to, don't like the time pressure of timers. So I don't think we'll probably do that again. Mark says his transaction for the pre-order keeps getting declined even if I have the balance to purchase. Challenges of ordering international, I guess. I'm sorry to hear that, Mark. And if you email Joe at stonemeyergames.com, he should be able to help you out with that. Although he can give you the best help if you can get any sort of order through, and then he can add on to that. But if you aren't able to get that through, let him know. He can even create the order from the inside, and then you can pay for it after we've created the order. I'm sorry you're having trouble with that. Chris says he loves his big boxes when it's a game that matters a lot to me as a player. Cost-wise, it has to be worth it. He says, for example, he'll be getting the Western Legends big box. And I'm curious, what do you all think about that term, big box? Is there a term that we can use in the industry to differentiate between, I think, what the Western Legends big box is, which is all the Western Legends content in a big box, and hopefully an organizer too, versus what Stonemaier Games typically does, which is offer a big box and organizer separately from all the content that you've already bought separately, most likely. Let me know, what's a term that we can use for that? We use the term legendary box for Scythe. We use the term nesting box for Wingspan. And maybe that's the key, just use terms that aren't the words big box when we talk about it. But if there's a general term that we can use to prevent confusion, let me know, because the last thing I want to do is mislead or confuse people about that. Connor says, so the only way I can harass you in person is if we attend Geekway in the future. Geekway is generally a convention that I attend. Geekway is a convention in St. Louis. It's happening in May. I attend it for 4 days every year, and I just show up and I just want to play games with people. So if you want to attend Geekway and play a game with me, please do. I would love to play games with you, Connor. I don't think we've ever actually played a game together, so it would be wonderful to play a game with you at Geekway some year. Yeah. Jonathan says, any chance we'll get a Libertalia Velcro patch? I'd love to attach it to my disc golf bag, just like my Scythe patch. I didn't even know there was a Scythe patch, Jonathan. What is that? Is that just like a kind of a badge of honor type thing for Scythe? It isn't something that we make. So whoever makes the Scythe patch, maybe they can make a unofficial Libertalia patch as well. Connor also says, Inside Up is attending Gamma, Origins, Gen Con, Essen, and PAX Unplugged this year. Okay, George. So George had a special thing happen last week. George's birthday was last week. Same birthday as Biddy, my cat, actually. George is a little bit older than Biddy. And George created a Boon Lake fan realm for Rolling Realms, just like, or similar to, but a fan version of the official promo realms that we make for Rolling Realms. And because it was George's birthday, I printed the realm and I played it on Saturday. So if you watch my Saturday Rolling Realms video, which is in the Rolling Realms Facebook group and on my YouTube channel, you can see the Boon Lake realm. And George is sharing here that he has updated the realm based on some of my suggestions, and he says people are enjoying it. I love the creativity. I'm happy to hear that, George, and I love the creativity that has emerged from Rolling Realms. I think now there are nearly nearly 100, no, there are over 100 realms total between the official realms for Rolling Realms and fan-created realms, which is astounding to me. That's really, really cool. And I look forward to sharing many more official realms in the future. And sometimes the fan realms are so inspiring to us, and they happen to correspond with a game that I happen to really love, or someone at Cosmere Games really loves, that we might make an official version of it. With fair compensation for the person who came up with the original concept, as well as our internal design and development team. Yeah. Joe says, okay, Joe has an idea for a term for big box, the way the Stonemaier Games uses that term. He says all-in-one storage solution box. I think that's pretty clear. As long as people don't hear all-in-one and think that it includes gameplay content, but I think that's on the right track there, Joe. I like that. What else is going on? So my video this past weekend was about 10 games I would recommend if you like Libertalia Winds of Galecrest, which was a little weird to release before people have actually played Libertalia Winds of Galecrest. But I think a lot of people have played the game it's based on, Libertalia. And at the same time, the video I think is hopefully helpful to people, because if you like any of the games that I mentioned on that list, or several of the games I mentioned on that list, then you might also be more inclined to buy Libertalia. Because I think if you like the games on that list, you're probably fairly likely to enjoy Libertalia Winds of Galecrest as well. As I mentioned, I did my blog post about Ukraine on Monday. And, oh yeah, one other thing that we're doing right now that I announced in the e-newsletter, actually look at our e-newsletter, which is on my other screen right now, is that we've started to dabble in leaderboards. So leaderboards are something that was introduced to me by Jason, who recently came out with a game called Legacies. If you're aware of that game, it was on Kickstarter a while ago. It just is coming out now. And Jason is doing a leaderboard for Legacies. And I love the idea so much that I thought, okay, let's try doing that too. So now whenever you finish a game of either Libertalia or Red Rising, you can go to the corresponding leaderboard page on our website and enter your score. And I don't know if I said if you win a game. If you just play a game, you don't have to post the winning score. You can just post your score on there and a little bit of more information. And every month, at the end of the month, I'm going to post the leaders. I'll probably, for like Red Rising, I'm doing the highest score at each player count. And for Libertalia, I might do that. I might do the highest score by color, something like that, even though the colors have literally no difference between them. But I don't know, it might be fun to see that red wins more often than green, that type of thing. But yeah, so if you play Libertalia or Red Rising, let us know your scores. And it's something that I might consider in the future too. Right now, I'm kind of starting with those games. I might do it for other games, but I'm a little hesitant to do it for games that have full AI digital versions, because I think it's just like your leaderboard is already automatically built into that if you play the digital version. But I might do it too. If you are interested in this and seeing this for other games on our website, let me know. I might add more in the future. As I was talking, I saw a bunch of comments fly by, so let's see what people said. Jonathan says the BGG Geekbit store makes the patches. Okay, yeah, they're welcome to make an unofficial Libertalia patch if they want. Chad suggests the term spacious box for a big box and organizer. I can see that, spacious box. Skylar says a box of holding. I think that's a term used in D&D sometimes. Yeah, I like box of holding. Skylar also says, have you seen any Kickstarters you are particularly interested in lately? Illuminati and Library Labyrinth both launched yesterday and look awesome to me. I did back Library Labyrinth at the kind of the library support level. I am intrigued by Solar 175, and I did back the Brandon Sanderson campaign yesterday. Let's see if I've backed anything else. Oh, and obviously Connor has his game Earth on Kickstarter right now. What else have I backed? I backed a game called Not So Neighborly, and Sink or Swim, and Blazon. I think those three campaigns have now finished. I'm pretty sure Not So Neighborly is finished. Nope. Not So Neighborly has 23 hours to go. So it's close to being finished. It's doing great. Yeah. Those are the campaigns I've backed recently. Justin says, big box is not the best term for the type of box that we make. I think Stonemaier Games, the names you have are good, like Legendary and Nesting Box. So Organizer Box. He also says all-in-one storage box or storage solutions box. Organizer Box I kind of like. That might be my favorite so far, because it specifically includes the word organizer, which is a key part of these boxes, especially the nesting box. And it has the word box, but it doesn't make any references to anything that could possibly be construed as gameplay content. So organizer box might be my favorite so far. Chris says, how about one box to hold all past Stonemaier games? That would be a giant box, Chris. Like that would be, I think, what do we have? 12, 13 games at this point. So that would be a big box. Yeah. Even with not many games. This is our 10th year of operations and we only have 13 games. I'm kind of proud about that. I like that we haven't, that we've stayed focused in our releases and we've only released 1 or 2 new games a year, but that still adds up over time. Danny says, just use the name to describe it that can contain the content of the game. Also need to indicate whether it's an empty box or all included. To him, big box is empty and legendary is not. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. There's also, I mean, there's a difference between the legendary box for Scythe, which has boxes inside of it, but it doesn't have really a great organizational system to the interior of the box. It just has a few nicely made tuck boxes. Whereas the nesting box is a full-fledged organizer with multiple levels and plastic inserts and things like that, or plastic trays. Yeah, that's why I kind of like the term organizer box for it. Tony says, can we get a chocolate update? You may have missed it, Tony, but the chocolate of the day today is some Alaskan chocolate that I got. Including a Kelp and Cayenne bar that I wasn't a big fan of, and a Prince William sea salt candy bar. Let me see if Megan's tried the Kelp one yet. Megan, have you tried the Kelp candy bar yet?
No.
Okay, Megan says no. She's going to give it a try to see if she likes it more than me. We'll find out. Maybe she'll have a munch on it while we're live, and she can give us the result. Okay, she's eating the bite right now. She'll let us know in a few seconds if she enjoys it or not. Let the aftertaste hit you before you respond. JS says, should I do leaderboards for Rolling Realms? See, that's a tough one. That's one of the ones where I'm a little hesitant on because A, people have already reported their scores on an ongoing basis on my videos. And B, each game of Rolling Realms is so different based on the combination of realms. So I don't know if they're comparable. I guess arguably you could say the same thing for Libertalia. So maybe I should do it because Libertalia has different combinations of cards. You know, why not? Why? You know, yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll put up a Rolling Realms leaderboard today, and we'll see how that goes. Why not? Yeah, if nobody uses it for whatever reason, that's okay too. Oh, also part of this is that it will take a little bit of work for me every month to go through these, so I don't want to necessarily do them for every game, but for a few games, I'm happy to do. Tim says he got Nemesis locked down to the table last night. It seems all the Kickstarters from last year or two are hitting all at once. Yeah, I have gotten a lot of campaigns through recently. What did I get? I got Momiji recently. I'm finally going to play that next week. I got the Sleepy Hollow campaign from like 5 years ago. That came the other day. And I got Now and Never to the table yesterday and enjoyed my first play of that. What was the other one? Some other game, but I'm forgetting what it is. Let's check in with Megan. Megan, what do you think of the Kelp and Cayenne chocolate bar?
It's unique.
She says it's unique, which I think is...
Definite Kelpy after.
She says it has a definite Kelp aftertaste, and that was my reaction as well. And the odd thing is, I like Kelp. I am happy to have a Kelp aftertaste, but it is weird when combined with chocolate, even dark chocolate. But I applaud the company for taking a swing at it, giving it a try. It definitely seemed like a nice local thing to try. James says, I wonder if you need to include the word box in the header for the Wingspan product. You can lead with it in the description, and of course you have an accompanying visual so people know that's an actual box. Something like Wingspan Modular Organizing System. The nesting box designed to fit into a standard Calyx cell. The Wingspan Modular Organization System. I like that. Wingspan Modular Organizing System. Or organizer box. Yeah, I like that. Chad suggests extended box. And Joe also says that he likes the organizer box. He says he wishes there's a way to note that it has space for all content released for said game, not just an organizational system. Yeah, that's where the all-in-one could be said, but I just worry a little bit, like I said, that that could make people think that all the content for Wingspan is included in the box. Chad says, "Are you like me and frequent thesaurus.com to find names?" I do, yeah. I would say the two websites I use the most for like game design are thesaurus.com and gameicons.net, I believe. It's game-icons.net. For prototypes, they're really, really helpful. Scott says I could call it the one box to hold them all, and that I think is the title of the blog entry that I made a while ago. While originally thinking about boxes like the legendary box for Scythe. Here's Frank from the City of Games. Frank, I loved my first plays of Kittens and Beasts and Boats recently. I talked about that earlier on the livecast. Frank says, "I think branding big boxes around organizational setup time is a good approach as it helps highlight the box purpose, but I may be slightly biased." Yeah, and Frank, can you clarify, is your big box, does it include gameplay content in the box, or is it a separate thing like what we do with Stonemeyer Games? But I do like the idea of highlighting organization and setup time. I think I mentioned that quite a bit on the Wingspan nesting box page, but I'll make sure to do that because I think it does help that. Tim says, "Are we going to make the Ukrainian colors, Rolling Realms dice with Ukrainian colors?" I think that is a wonderful idea. However, the one kind of catch to that, so here's what the normal Rolling Realms dice look like. The catch to it is that making these dice would take months. And maybe we should do it anyway because whatever happens with Ukraine, even if Russia backs out today, the people of Ukraine are going to suffer significantly for quite some time. And so I was thinking, maybe this conflict will end by the time we make these dice. The conflict will be over. But what I'm realizing in real time here is that even if the conflict is over, the suffering won't be over. And so I kind of like the idea of doing that anyway. Yeah, that might be the right thing to do. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Tim. Nicholas is dropping by to join the conversation. Thanks, Nicholas, for hanging out. The other big thing we announced, I don't know if you all noticed this, if you are just kind of casually following Stonemeyer Games, but we made an announcement yesterday that's been in the works for a little while, something that we've just been discussing internally, is a little controversial, I'd say, is that we are focusing our distribution in the US and Canada with the companies, for hobby game stores specifically. We have other distributors for other outlets, but for hobby games specifically, we are now going to start focusing on using GTS for distribution in the US and Universal for distribution in Canada. This is for many different reasons, but we have just found over the years that I think there is value in having that focus. There's also value in diversity at times, but not diversity. There's always value in diversity, but value in diversification when you're talking about which distributors we're selling to. But we decided that focus, which is kind of a common theme at Stonemeyer Games, focusing, that we decided that focus would be more important. And so we are focusing on GTS for hobby game distribution. And that does mean even if your retailer of choice doesn't buy from GTS, that's okay because they can sign up to buy from GTS if they want to, or they can buy directly from us through our wholesale program. You can sign up for that by contacting Susanna at stonemaiergames.com or stonemeyer.com. But yeah, that's kind of the big news among retailers and distributors right now. I don't know if it's big news for you, but if you have any concerns about that, feel free to let me know because we have thought through it quite a bit and we think this is still the best way to serve you as a customer. In fact, as a customer, you probably shouldn't see a difference. And if you do hear your store saying, "I can't get Stonemeyer Games products anymore," I don't know. It's not really true. They can sign up to be a GTS retailer and they can sign up to buy directly from Stonemeyer Games. Jaron says, his wife and I have always wondered what inspired the art in Viticulture. It seems that most of it may be inspired by real people. Also, the back of the Papa cards look like Loki. That actually is just a coincidence. Jackie Davis created the back of those cards, and she's always told me that it's just a coincidence. It's not actually Tom Hiddleston. And many of the cards are indeed inspired by real people. We did custom art pledge levels in the original Viticulture Kickstarter campaign, and later on, when I was creating the Mama and Papa cards, I offered to some of our ambassadors if they wanted to become the people on those cards. We don't do custom art anymore, though. So that's why all the people look like real people. We have stopped doing custom art though because we'd rather have a lot more control over the diversity that we can put on the cards in terms of gender, of course, but gender is equally split in viticulture. But importantly, ethnicity and age. And if we just offer custom art, we don't have control over that, but we want a lot of diversity among the people that we showcase in our games. So we've stopped doing custom art, but viticulture forever will include that custom art that we originally got from those Kickstarter backers way back in 2012. Justin says, maybe for the leaderboards, maybe switch the games you track quarterly, like 3 to 4 games every 3 months. That's interesting. And I like the idea of potentially doing it quarterly. That might be a little bit easier for me to handle. And it could be neat to do, like you said, Justin, here, have a few games one quarter and then say, okay, this next quarter, we're going to focus on these games. That might get people to rotate the games that they play a little bit too. I like that. That's interesting. I'll try to figure out if there's a good system I can make work for that. Corey says, you could say something like in realms. Okay, so he has a system for this. Okay, so Corey's proposing specific combos for rolling realms each month. That's intriguing, Corey. I could see that. To say like this month for rolling realms, play with this specific combination. Yeah, I'll think about that. I mean, that would definitely even the playing field a little bit if people were playing with the same combinations. Although some of the fun of rolling realms is, I think, having those random combinations. But it might be random to people who are trying them. So I don't know. I'm intrigued by that. I could try that at some point. Chad says, you know that only tourists actually buy the Kelp chocolate. That's probably correct. Yeah, and I was a tourist in Fairbanks for sure. Hopefully a respectful one. Tony says, a few months ago, the cargo backlog at all of the seaports was on every news channel. Now we don't hear much. From a business standpoint, do you feel we're coming out of the woods in regards to shipping? In terms of shipping speed, it seems like we are. It seems like it's speeding up a little bit, less instances of things getting really, really clogged at ports, although I think it will still happen again in the winter holiday season this year. In terms of price, I haven't seen much of a change at all. Freight shipping is still incredibly expensive. Yeah. Arnie says, hope nobody has asked it yet, but will there be an expansion for Rolling Realms mini golf now that there are more promo realms? We are hoping to release a promo pack specifically for solo play for Rolling Realms. The Automa Factory team is working on it. I don't know exactly what they're going to come up with, but they are working on it right now. Yeah. Frank says, I'm glad to hear you enjoy the new content. My box was the big 2-minute box highlighting that you can set up the game in just 2 minutes. The box just includes the insert in the box itself, no content of any type. So we called it the two. I see what you did there, Frank. That's very clever. So you're highlighting the fact that you use the term big box, but you insert the words 2-minute in it to show people that it creates a much faster setup for the box. He says, but for Kickstarter, I shipped some items inside the boxes for backers to save on container space, but it wasn't advertised or sold as such. Yeah, I think that's really clever. That's what we're doing with Wingspan as well. So for the new Wingspan expansion, we're making it at the same time as the Wingspan nesting box. And so for anyone, we are making some copies of the nesting box with the expansion inside of it. So for people who want to buy both those products through our web store, we can help out with the environment a little bit by not making a irrelevant box for the Wingspan expansion. And instead just including it directly. And it saves on shipping too, makes shipping a little bit faster. We can pre-pack the box. There's a lot of pros that go into that, and I can see why you would do that as well. Actually, Frank, while I have you here, I wanted to ask about this because for Isle of Cats, you have a really, really thick box. And I noticed you use the same really, really thick cardboard for each of the expansion boxes. Even though I think some of those boxes at least will be just recycled. So I wonder if you'd ever thought about using a thinner cardboard for the expansion boxes, since you do have that really nice thick cardboard for the box that I think most people are going to keep, the main game box. Just something that came to mind as a publisher as I was pulling apart those nice, very thick expansion boxes that I am regrettably now recycling. Skylar says, have I been able to play Now or Never? Yes, I just played Now or Never yesterday, actually. Not in story mode, just regular mode, but it's actually a really solid Euro game without any story added to it. Skylar says, I'm curious about the audio narration app that Foreteller puts out to accompany it. Have I looked into that at all? We actually talked about it a little bit. I think it's a $16 app, which is totally justifiable, I think, for Foreteller to sell. But I don't know if I will be buying that because I don't mind reading narration. I'm sure their narration is way better than mine, but for $16, I'll just read it myself. Is my personal take on it. Skylar says, would I ever consider partnering with a company for audio narration to a game that you publish? I don't know. I think it had to be the right circumstances. I'm really hesitant to tie our games to any digital app that is necessary for the game. But in this case, and now or never, it isn't. You can get the game and not use the audio narration. I don't know. I guess I see it as a nice perk for some people. I'm curious to hear what you all thought. Think, do you ever use audio narration? But for others, for me, I like to read it. I like to see the words. It helps me retain it a little bit better than just listening to it. That's how I am with audiobooks as well. I retain the information much more if I see it with my eyes. And so I'm a little hesitant to pursue that, especially because if you have written text in a game, there's probably going to be some element of it that you're hoping players actually remember. So I don't know. But I do also see the other side of it, which is that the narration from a professional is going to be much nicer than me reading it out loud to Megan or to a group of people. Frank says, I was very happy to see your GTS partnership. They are a great team, and I'm sure it will help you, them, and retailers moving forward a great deal. That's my hope. And one of the cool things about it is that this is one of the pros of having focus with a company. GTS is creating a specific program for Stonemaier games that they might expand to other companies too, called the Fortress program, where if you are a brick and mortar retailer, if you're a hobby game retailer, you can sign up for this program and guarantee that you are getting a certain number of copies, 1 or 2 cases, I believe, of any new product that we make during the pre-order time. And so you don't have to worry about being allocated on the back end, which happens all too often, I think, in the distribution system. And so I think that's a huge plus for retailers, that Fortress program that GTS is setting up for us. I hope to see other distributors do that as well, but I think sometimes you need to have this focused type of relationship with the distributor to enable that type of program. Let's see. Lori says, any idea if Wingspan will be available on Board Game Arena? I will say that Board Game Arena is working on several of our games, but I can't announce them. It has to be up to them to announce those games on Board Game Arena. So when they are ready to announce the games of ours that they are working on, they will do so. Yeah. Garden says it's nice to see how many pre-orders there are for Wingspan with the counter. Yeah, we've started putting that kind of like Kickstarter. You can see how many copies have been pre-ordered, and we have started doing that with our pre-orders as well. You can see a counter on each of our different web stores how many copies of the game or copies of different products have been pre-ordered on those different web stores. JS says, some friends and I are discussing doing a Stonemaier weekend where we start with Viticulture and play through the entire library over a weekend. That sounds epic and awesome, and I hope you do it. And yeah, that sounds incredible. Archer says, congrats on the launch. Just pre-ordered my copy of Libertalia. Did you already see the impact of hiring a data analyst on Stonemaier games for future and current games for like Libertalia? Yeah, so we have a data analyst that we worked with, a guy named Jamey, who has been looking at the data for our games for quite some time, especially after Tapestry. For the various Tapestry expansions, the playtesting that's been done on various games since then, Jamey looked at that data to try to help everything be as balanced as possible in ways that I can't see as a non-professional data analyst or someone who's not a data analyst like me. And I have seen some great results from it. And currently, Jamey is working on what we hope will be the final adjustments to any Tapestry civilizations that are necessary. He's going through a ton of data for that. And he's also then going to go through Scythe data, if he can get some good data from the Knights of Unity to potentially find any other combinations that are just overpowered, or to say about any previous combinations that we can remove some bans from them if necessary. So yeah, I've seen some great impacts of working with Jamey. Danny says, is this a general counter for the pre-orders or specific for Europe and the USA? It's for each web store. It's how many copies have been ordered from that specific web store. Chad says, what's your next location for a big trip? I don't have another big trip planned. Not on the level of Alaska. No. What about you? Tim says that Frank West really worked some magic to deliver to backers not only on time but early. It almost beat a game I ordered back in 2020. Much love for the City of Games. I love the City of Games. Wonderful company. Frank is awesome. And Tim, yeah, I totally agree. I didn't know about the ordering time though. Nowadays, when I back a Kickstarter, I totally forget about it until it actually shows up. Chat says, is there a significant difference in price when shipping pallets of actual games versus organizer boxes that are filled with air? I'm sure the size of the box is still a factor. It's about the same. The only difference is really weight. And weight does make a difference, but in terms of size, it's roughly the same. Alan says that he loves foreteller narration. Chad says the Rise of Fenders would be cool to have narrated music and sound effects. I can see that. And there is some scythe music that you can download from the Knights of Unity and play that in the background when you're playing. Chad says, is that going to be a possible issue ordering direct from Stonemaier? I'm not sure what... Oh, allocation. No, it won't be. Stonemaier Games still has our web store set up with specific games units allocated, or not allocated, but set aside for customers and for any retailers who order directly from us as well. And then for distributors, like we already know like how many copies of Libertalia that we're going to send to GTS. So they already have that quantity. They can use that quantity to make sure retailers that sign up for the Fortress program can get the copies they pre-order from GTS. So kind of separate allocations there. Okay, so I asked Frank about the thickness of the expansion boxes, and he says, to explain why they're thicker, he says, when I did the first print run for the City of Kings, there was a major shipping incident which resulted in most boxes being crushed, and I ended up having to remake and ship about 10,000 boxes. Wow, that's devastating. With the Isle of Cats, I was nervous not to have that happen again, so I went with thicker boxes to be extra safe. Now I have more experience for new products, and I'll shift expansions to thinner boxes and no boxes when possible. I agree with that. I like that method, Frank. We're even at Stonemaier Games, and I think it sounds like you're trying to do this as well. When we have an expansion that doesn't have any non-printed components, we are hoping to put it essentially in a paper envelope with a tearaway strip, like a courier might use, so that you can just, it's much easier to ship. We can slap a label on it if we want to directly without using any other packaging, just to be as environmentally friendly as possible. And then you can just recycle the big envelope and put the content in the game. So I don't think that works for everything. It definitely does not work for every expansion where you have more lumpy components in there, but for flat printed components, I think that's possible. Yeah. Christopher says, I really like the foreteller narration for Jaws of the Lion. It's done really well, and more importantly than the narration itself is the atmosphere they can create with background noise in a scene. I can see that. I have it for Near and Far too, and it's just okay there. A different narrator doesn't seem to click with me. I don't think Stonemaier really makes games that would justify it, though, unless the future game has a significant amount more text. Yeah, thank you for that, Christopher. I appreciate that. I did a video recently about games that have, or not recently, it was a few months ago, about my favorite games with narrative text, written narrative. And I talk about there how I think it is possible for Stonemaier games to have more written narrative than they already do. But if and when they do, it will be succinct. I don't think we'll have games where you're reading long passages of text. Let's see. Jerry says, any chance of the midshipman in Libertalia being available as its own separate card, maybe as a promo? So Jerry's referring to the tile that we have. So it's actually a tile, Jerry. It looks like this. It's a big tile for Libertalia that creates, there's one for each side of the board. That's identical except for the art. That helps you in two-player games have essentially a third player that's very easy to operate. And Jerry, no, we don't intend to sell that separately. It's kind of its own thing just for two-player play, and it is a tile, not a card. But you can get it if you buy the game. A few more comments here, and then I'll head on out. Thank you all for joining me today on today's big pre-order day. I always love a pre-order day. Arthur says, in a past e-newsletter, you said that in 2022, we would see an old game in a new world and a new game in an old world. And you are right that I said that. I think you're looking for confirmation about that, but I don't want to do that. At the end of the year, I will go back and I will go through all those things I hinted at, and I will say what I was referring to. But until then, I'm not going to say, because then it kind of spoils what I have said or haven't said. So let's wait until the end of the year, and then I will reveal what all those hints were referring to. All right, I think that's it for me. I'm going to go over and see the emails that I have about this pre-order. Let me see if I missed anything. Oh, I did want to mention, like I did last month, there is a tutorial for Scythe available on Dized. So if you have Scythe but haven't played it, there's a great digital tutorial on Dized, D-I-Z-E-D, that you can get. And I think that was the main other news in the newsletter. Let's see, one last question here from Thomas. He says, I'm teaching and playing Tapestry with all the expansions at Aarhus Board Game Festival in Denmark this weekend. Thank you for doing that, Thomas. Any chance updated Civ cards will be available for purchase soon? So the Civ mats, we are working right now on what we are hoping will be the final adjustments for the Tapestry civilizations. And if we are confident with that, and once we test them, we will print final versions of those mats. But I don't think they'll be ready until 2023 at the earliest. So soon, no, but we are working towards that goal right now. Yeah. All right, I'm going to head on out, but thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day, and I will see you next Wednesday. And if you haven't already, check out our web store for Libertalia, the game, the promo pack for Rolling Realms, and the metal coins. Have a great day. Take care. I'll see you. Bye.